Now to continue with my discussion kasi nawalan ako ng internet. So, um, pag, di ba, yung chyme, this is an acid semi-fluid gray pulpy mass. So, yun yung nanggaling sa abomasum now. So, eto ngayon is with the help of the pyloric sphincter. Okay? So, yun yung tumutulong na mag-push at saka ma-empty yung mga stomach contents and then papasok na ngayon dito sa small intestine. Now, ang first segment would be the duodenum. So nandoon yung malapit sa kanya yung pancreas, yung mismong duodenum ng mga ruminant animals natin. So once na nandoon na yung mga stomach contents sa duodenal part, so yung secretion from the pancreas and yung pag-discharge ng bile from the gallbladder kasi kailangan once na meron ng mga stomach contents doon sa duodenum, lalong-lalo na if there are if the main composition of the feed particles ay merong fat, so kailangan talagang ma-discharge yung mismong bile doon sa gallbladder. Okay? Pero kung yung diet naman ng mga ruminants, like for example, if you have fed something that is not or walang fat content yung mismong diet, then walang madi-discharge na bile. Pero as what I've said, if there is a fat content, kahit minimal lang yung fat content ng diet ng ruminant, kailangan na may stimulate yung gallbladder para ma-discharge niya yung naka-store na bile. So, uh, the secretion of these two accessory organs, the gallbladder as well as the pancreas, is stimulated by three hormones. So meron tayong tinatawag na secretin, the cholecystokinin, and then the pancreozymin. Okay, so these are being released from the duodenal cells. So yung once na meron na, okay, na-stimulate na ng mga hormones na to, then the enzymes, like for example, the trypsin, the chymotrypsin, the pancreatic amylase, the lipase, and then the maltase, these are being produced once the pancreas are stimulated by these three hormones. Okay? So take note of that one. Yung tatlo na hormones na yun, once na na-stimulate nila yung pancreas, then yung sinabi ko ng mga enzymes, yun yung ipoproduce ngayon ng pancreas with doon sa pancreatic juices niya. Okay? Now, what is the first role of the duodenum? Okay, so if this one, so pumasok na ngayon yung mismong kapag lumabas na yung chyme from the abomasum, so first one is yung duodenum. Okay, doon agad nagsisimula yung process ng neutralization. So tandaan ninyo, acidic yung chyme na galing doon sa abomasum. So nasa 2 to 3 pH. Pero hindi kaya ng intestinal lining yung sobrang acidity. So the first job of the duodenum is to raise the pH. So paano niya ito ginagawa? With the help of the pancreatic secretions and then yung, di ba, nasabi ko noon that the pancreas also secrete yung mga bicarbonate ion. So yun na yung ginagawa niya dito. So the pancreas will release the sodium bicarbonate which neutralizes now the acid and brings the pH closer to neutral. So from the 2 to 3 pH of the chyme from the abomasum, once na dumaan na siya or once na pumunta na siya sa duodenum, nagiging 6 to 7 na siya. Okay? So once the environment is already safe, saka na nagiging active yung mga pancreatic enzymes. Yung mga sinabi ko kanina ng mga pancreatic enzymes. So dito sa duodenum, pumapasok yung tatlong major groups of enzymes. So yung trypsin and then the chymotrypsin, that is for protein digestion, the pancreatic amylase for starch breakdown, and of course the pancreatic lipase for fat digestion. So kasabay na niya doon yung sinabi ko kanina na yung bile mula sa gallbladder. So ang bile naman yung nag-emulsify ng mga fats. Ibig sabihin, hinihiwa-hiwalay niya ito with smaller tiny droplets para mas madaling ma-process or ma-access ng lipase na enzyme. Kaya sinasabi natin na ang duodenum yung chemical processing station ng small intestine. So dito nagmi-meet yung chyme from the abomasum, yung bile, yung pancreatic enzymes para ma-form yung mixture na perfect now for digestion. Okay? So, Aside from the digestion, marami ring hormones, yung duodenum na nagre-regulate ng GIT movement and secretion. Like for example, kapag dumating na ngayon yung acidic chyme na i-stimulate yung secretin as what I've said a while back para magpa-release ng more bicarbonate doon sa pancreas. So kapag dumating naman yung fatty na chyme, so lumalabas naman yung cholecystokinin para may-stimulate din yung bile and pancreatic enzyme secretion. So parang ang duodenum ay parang command center. Siya yung nagko-coordinate sa pancreas, sa gallbladder, sa stomach para maging synchronize yung digestion. So, after ma-neutralize, okay, ma-neutralize, ma-mix, at saka ma-start yung enzymatic digestion, so tuloy-tuloy nang nag-flow yung chyme papunta now dito sa jejunum. And dito naman nangyayari yung pinakamahalagang part ng absorption. So kapag sinabi nating jejunum, you need to take down already or take note that it is for absorption. There is the presence of the villi and then the microvilli. So sa jejunum, makikita natin yung pinakamahaba at pinaka-developed na villi. Kaya sobrang laki ng absorptive surface area. Halos lahat ng end products of digestion na maaaring ma-absorb dito ay pumapasok. Like for example, the amino acids, the simple sugars, the fatty acids, the monoglycerides, okay? Kasama na din yung mga vitamins and minerals, other vitamins and minerals. Pero ang interesting dito, hindi lang basta absorption. So may mga transport mechanisms din na active at saka passive. So for example, ang amino acids ay pumapasok through active transport na may energy requirement. So ang glucose at galactose ay co-transported with the sodium. So at ang fats, hindi sila direktang pumapasok sa bloodstream. So instead, the jejunum absorbs the fatty acids and monoglycerides para ma-reform them into triglycerides. And then, ipapackage them now into chylomicrons na papasok doon sa lymphatic system bago makarating noon sa circulation. So this means the jejunum is not just about absorbing, okay? It's not only about the absorption of nutrients, but then it is also for processing. Pinaprocess niya yung mga yon. So habang tumatagal yung chyme sa jejunum, mas nagiging severe, okay, mas tumitindi yung absorption, okay, pero unti-unti siyang lumilipat now doon sa last part which is ang the ileum, yung final segment of the small intestine. So ang ileum naman ang may pinakamaliit na villi at saka pinakakonti yung enzymatic activity compared to jejunum. Pero still, it's very important pa din yung role niya. So dito inaabsorb yung mga specialized nutrients na hindi kayang kunin na ng jejunum. So the most important example for that one is the vitamin B12, okay, in combination with of course mga intrinsic factors. So dito rin nare-reabsorb yung mga bile salts which are transported back to the liver through the enterohepatic circulation para magamit ulit ng katawan ng animal. So bukod sa absorption, um, ang ileum din yung nag-a-adjust ng flow of digesta papunta doon sa large intestine. So dito nagde-decide yung system kung gaano kabilis, okay, or gaano ka-slow yung paglipat ng partly digested material. So kapag masyadong mabilis, so kulang yung absorption. Kapag masyadong mabagal, sobrang fermentation naman and magkakaroon ng mga effect na parang bloating-like. Okay? So kaya it's very important din yung ileocecal valve dito kasi kontrolado niya yung passage papunta doon sa cecum. So as the chyme leaves now, so we are already done with um the duodenum, the jejunum, and then with the ileum. So lilipat na siya ngayon dito. Okay? Um okay, pupunta na siya or iiwanan niya ngayon dito sa ileum. So halos tapos na yung enzymatic digestion and absorption ng carbohydrates, yung proteins, and even with the lipids. So ang iiwanan niya para sa large intestine naman ay is mainly for water, mga electrolytes, yung mga indigestible na fiber, as well as yung mga microbial biomass. Okay? So in other words, job pa din ng small intestine na ubusin at kunin ang lahat nang kaya pa niyang makuha bago ito mapasok sa colon for fermentation. Okay? So pagkatapos dumaan sa small intestine, yung digesta, pumapasok na ngayon dito sa large intestine, which is comprised with the cecum, the colon, as well as the rectum. So sa segment na ito, yung mga chemical processes ay mostly focused na sa water absorption, sa mineral absorption, at saka yung mga microbial fermentation ng mga residual fibers na hindi masyadong na-digest kanina. So, ang take note of it that the large intestine is relatively less enzymatic digestion compared with the small intestine. Kasi karamihan sa mga macronutrients, like yung mga carbohydrates, yung proteins, and lipids, already na digested na at na-absorb sa small intestine. However, may microbial population pa din sa cecum at saka sa colon na patuloy na nagfo-ferment ng mga residual carbohydrates at fiber na hindi na-digest sa rumen or sa small intestine. So, with the help of the fermentation, so nabubuo yung volatile fatty acids na yung mga acetic, propionic at saka yung butyric na pwede ring ma-absorb and syempre magbigay ng konting energy or konting additional energy na aside from doon sa rumen kanina na na-discuss ko. Okay? Now, pagdating ng digesta, okay, ulit, pagdating ng digesta from the ileum, papasok na dito sa large intestine, so ibang klaseng environment na agad yung sasalubong dito. So tandaan natin, halos tapos na yung enzymatic digestion sa small intestine. So, again, so as what I've said a while back, yung mga microbial fermentation ng mga natitira na cellulose, yung mga hemicellulose, at saka other carbohydrates na hindi nakuha kanina sa foregut, then yung microbes ngayon kanina doon sa rectum, magproproduce ng volatile fatty acids. Okay? So habang umaabante na ngayon yung digesta from cecum, papunta doon sa first one kanina na sa proximal part of the colon. So dito na nangyayari yung um, pinaka-main function ng large intestine, which is massive water absorption. That happens on the proximal colon. So yung water absorption, so mag-a-absorb ngayon yung colon ng large quantity ng water at saka electrolytes, like for example yung mga sodium and chloride. Ito na yung nagiging reason kung bakit even naman sa tao or even with other animals, kung bakit matigas, okay? Kaya medyo matigas at yung consistency ng digesta habang papunta siya doon sa rectum. Like for example, if you want if we will be going to poop, okay, hindi naman aside now if it is a diarrhea, pero if it is a normal na defecation process, medyo matigas yung ang ating feces is because naa-absorb yung water content doon sa colon natin. Okay? So yung pumupunta na ngayon doon sa rectum, it's already yung nawala na or na-squeeze na ng water absorption kanina doon sa proximal colon. So yun na yung mapupunta, yung solid portion, yun na yung mapupunta doon sa rectum. Okay? Kung ang small intestine is designed para sa nutrient absorption, yung colon naman is para i-reclaim yung water para hindi ma-dehydrate yung animal or even yung tao. And because ruminants rely heavily on maintaining yung stable fluid environment doon sa rumen, very important itong water recovery function ng colon. Okay? So aside from that one, yung colon ang may pinaka mahabang contact time between digesta and mucosa. Ibig sabihin, dito rin na-absorb yung mga remaining na VFAs na nabuong muli mula sa hindgut fermentation. So kahit limited lang yung fermentation dito, unlike with the rumen that it is a full blast, eto kasi is limited na lang. Pero still, important pa rin siya for maximizing yung energy utilization. So at least kahit man lang konti yung fermentation na nangyayari dito, meron pa ding energy na nakukuha yung mga ruminant animals natin from the volatile fatty acids that are being produced here. Okay? So, another physiological role of the colon is yung mucus secretion. So, ano yung purpose ng mucus? That is for lubrication, yung material, para ma-prevent yung injury and saka ma-facilitate niya yung smooth passage para through the increasingly narrow na lumen. So dahil tumitigas na yung fecal material habang humahaba yung stay nito sa colon, kailangan ng right amount of mucus para hindi magasgas or ma-irritate yung mucosa. So this is especially important in ruminants, lalong-lalo na sa mga ruminants kasi ang kanilang diet is high fiber. Okay, mas bulk ang kanilang fecal content. Now, another one, sa colon din nagaganap yung microbial synthesis of certain vitamins, particularly some B-complex vitamins at saka yung vitamin K. Pero unlike monogastrics, okay, hindi masyadong mataas yung absorption nito sa ruminants dahil karamihan ng site of absorption nila ay nasa small intestine pa rin. Pero still, some amount of microbial vitamins can be absorbed in the colon, pero still depending pa din on the type of animal and yung transit rate. So habang papunta na ngayon yung digesta from the proximal colon to the distal colon, so unti-unti na ito nagiging fully formed na fecal matter. Okay? So here, yung additional na water absorption, still meron pa din nangyayari na water absorption sa distal colon, pero hindi na kasing intense doon sa proximal colon. So the material becomes more compact and yung movement now magi-slow down na siya. Okay? So yung colon motility is already regulated by neural at saka yung mga hormonal signals para ma-ensure na hindi masyadong mabilis yung passage. Okay, which would cause diarrhea at saka fluid loss at hindi rin sobrang bagal kasi it could cause also excessive na dryness and possible for constipation. Now, pag dumating na tayo ngayon dito sa rectum, these parts now, yun na yung magiging temporary storage site for the feces. So here, the arrival now of the fecal material will stimulate, okay? Stimulate niya yung stretch receptors dito sa rectal wall. So dito na magti-trigger yung defecation reflex. So ano itong defecation reflex? This is now already the combination of the voluntary control at the anal sphincter at saka yung involuntary smooth muscle contractions in the colon and rectum. So kapag nag-contract yung colon at saka rectum at nag-relax ang internal at saka yung external na anal sphincters that I have discussed from the nervous system, saka lang mailalabas yung feces. Now, I have also discussed this one during the nervous system. So during the defecation reflex, yung body makikipag-coordinate siya sa abdominal muscle contraction para yung sa classic na Valsalva maneuver, wherein nag-i-increase yung abdominal pressure to help expel yung fecal mass. So kapag may imbalance sa reflex na yan, so for example, weak yung muscle tone, there is a dehydration or there is an irritation. So pwede itong mag-lead sa conditions like for example, diarrhea or constipation. So that ends my discussion for the digestive system of the ruminant animals. Pero meron lang itong additional one. So, eto naman mga factors affecting the fiber digestibility sa mga ruminant animals natin. So kapag we are referring with the digestibility ng crude fiber, ibig sabihin nito yung mga cellulose, yung mga hemicellulose, yung lignin, okay? Maraming factors yung nakaka-affect kung gaano kabilis or kaganda yung pagkaka-breakdown ng mga ito sa mga ruminants. Kaya alam naman natin na yung mga rumen microbes ang main na gumagawa ng trabaho dito. So lahat ng factors na makakaapekto sa kanila o sa mismong fiber is merong effect doon sa digestibility. So ano ba tong digestibility? Ang digestibility, if you have already discussed this one in your nutrition, ang digestibility, that is the amount of energy, okay, or nutrients na na-absorb ng katawan ng animals natin. So how do we measure this one? That is through the fecal matter. So you will just collect the fecal matter. Like for example, if you have given a 3,000 kilocalories of food sa animal and then meron kang nakita doon na doon sa feces na like for example 1,000 kilocalories, then ibig sabihin 2,000 calories yung na-absorb or yung na-absorb ng katawan ng animals natin. Okay? So We have here first one, a number and type of microbes present in the rumen. So pag mas maraming microbes, mas mataas yung fiber digestibility. Pero hindi lang quantity pero pati quality. So kapag dominant na microbes ay cellulitic bacteria, so syempre mas maganda yung digestion ng cellulose. So kumbaga, specialized sila, as what I've said, they are the ones that are producing the cellulase enzyme for the breakdown of the cellulose and hemicellulose. Kaya kung abundant sila, so natural na mas mataas yung digestibility. Second one, relative proportion of the fiber composition or contents. So mas madaling tunawin yung hemicellulose kaya kapag mataas ang proportion nito, mas mataas din yung overall na crude fiber digestibility. So in the other side sa lignin, ito yung pinakamatigas at saka resistant component. So kapag mataas yung lignin content ng feed, so bumababa talaga yung digestibility. Okay? Kasi yung lignin, I hope it is what discussed already in your nutrition, parang nag-a-act kasi siya as a barrier. Parang nagko-coat sa cellulose at hemicellulose kaya hindi masyadong ma-access ng mga microbes ito. Okay? Then third one, protein content ng diet. So kapag mataas yung protein level, na-stimulate yung rumen microbes, lalo na yung mga cellulitic na bakterya. So dahil may sapat na silang nitrogen at saka amino acids, then mabilis silang dumami at mas maging active. So syempre, magre-result na ma-improve yung fiber digestion. And then, fourth one is fat content of the diet. So kapag sobra yung fat, nagkakaroon din ng parang protective coating yung feed particle. So with this kind of reason, so nahihirapan ngayon yung mga microbes na parang kumapit at saka mag-digest. Kaya overall, nadi-decrease yung fiber digestibility. Kaya sa ruminant diets, lagi nating tatandaan that it should be controlled. Controlled dapat yung fat content. Although kahit na merong bile pa yung mismong animal, hindi maganda ito when it comes to the digestibility. And then last one, yung supplementation of green forages, parang eto na dito papasok na yung parang nitrogen-free extract or yung NFE to crude fiber ratio. So ano ba to? Yung NFE kasi ay yung portion ng feed na rich in soluble carbohydrates like for example the starch. So kapag tumaas yung NFE, bumababa ngayon yung fiber digestibility dahil mas pipiliin ng microbes ang na madaling i-ferment na starch kaysa sa tough na fiber. So may competition for microbial activity. So starch muna bago yung fiber. Now when it comes to the supplementation naman of green forages, so nakakatulong din ito dahil yung green forages ay may dalang vitamins at saka non-specific na growth factors. So na kailangan ng mga microbes. So nagiging mas active sila, mas mabilis yung fermentation, and overall mas maganda yung breakdown ng crude fiber. Now, last one, we have here the process of digestion. So, quick na lang ito. Like for example, from the mouth, dadaan na sa pharynx, the esophagus. And then if you would observe the arrow, it will go down in the rumen for the rumen fermentation. And then pupunta ngayon dito sa reticulum. Okay, for further na digestion. Now, after the reticulum, so yun as what I've said from my first na discussion, magkakaroon ngayon ng regurgitation dito. So babalik itong mismong kinain ng animal, pupunta ulit dito sa mouth kasi from the green na arrow, magiging kulay na maroon na siya dito or kulay red. So this will be the start now of the rumination process. So regurgitation, so babalik dito sa from mouth, remastication, reinsalivation, and then from maroon, agbalin nga blue detoy. So this is already the rest swallowing. Papasok ngayon siya dito sa umaso. Okay, until in the abomasum. So yun na yung process ng digestion until from the small intestine. However, in some cases that if the fiber or if the diet of the animal is walang fiber content or hindi kaya naman na ma-digest yung animal na hindi na kailangan na babalik sa mouth, then ang process would be from the rumen reticulum and then didiretso na sa umasum, hindi na siya babalik sa mouth for further digestion. That is if yung mismong diet ng animal is hindi fibrous. Okay? So that ends my discussion for the digestive system of the ruminant animals.